He's a good sport.
Yeah, he's being a good sport about this one. This may be one of the tougher matchups of the day here. LordCharlie versus Garja.
Yeah, he's got a pretty tough opponent in Garja. But here we go, game number 1 between LordCharlie and Garja. Last round of 64 game today. At least that will be casted. I'm not sure if this concludes all of the games in the round, if they've all been played. But for today, all the games that have been scheduled have completed. So spawning in the bottom right side of the map of Kamchatka, in the color red, playing the Dutch civilization is Garja, and his opponent, the one and only LordCharlie, playing the Russian civilization, spawning in the 11 o'clock position. He'll be in the color blue today. LordCharlie versus Garja. I don't think anyone knows anything about LordCharlie, but
except that he has a terrific fan base of angels.
Yes, he does. He has a fan base. He's the leader of a clan called Charlie's Angels. This much we do know about him after a little bit of research on the side. So Garja, of course, a fairly well-known player, fairly well-respected, high-level player from the community, is going to be playing the Dutch civilization. Dutch versus Russia is kind of a fun little matchup. This is one of those matchups where the longer Russia can keep the Dutch player from aging, the better prospects Russia tends to have in the game. If he can continue to keep the pressure up, keep Dutch from building a huge number of banks, get Dutch into a position where he's running out of resources, maybe doesn't have a next hunt available, can be in his favor. But at the same time, if the Dutch player is able to age up, get out Royd or Skirm, then all of a sudden Russia feels like they're in an impossible chance to win. So we'll see what ends up happening. I do suspect that LordCharlie will do some sort of aggressive play, if nothing else, just because of the matchup and the skill discrepancy. I think we saw that in your game with Zoe as well. And I think it's a smart thing to do when you are faced against a higher level player, someone who you perceive to be better than you. I think you are probably best not just taking your chances playing aggressively. And sometimes, you'll get rewarded with them being a little sloppy. Maybe, Garja hasn't played for a couple days or something like that, and can maybe sneak a win in like that and get a cheap one. So we'll see what ends up happening. I suspect LordCharlie will play fairly aggressively, though, as a result of just the player in the map, the matchup that he's playing.
Yeah, I agree with that sentiment, and I think if Garja is cognizant that that's what people tend to do. Like in the game I played against Zoe, there are a couple things I did specifically because I was playing against Zoe. Like I set my 10 Coyote forward just to see how all in he was, and when I saw how all in he was, I instantly ran away. I had no intentions of raiding, just wanted to make a bunch of units and sit him and just wait for the timing push, basically. So if Garja plays that same style, that same way of there's no need to be greedy here. I know that he's already kind of hurting his own economy, and just stops the timing push, then I think Garja's in a great spot. So.
Uh-oh, the tiger just ran into the fog of war. Now Garja has to go.
Just on the edge. Oh, that was like a perfect pull almost.
Looks like he's going to be working away on this 75 food treasure. It looks like he's going to let it reset. Probably has his crack shot back available to him. Going to be able to pick that up. Let's take a look at the rest of the treasures. LordCharlie has recovered shelled barley kernels worth 35 food, as well as discovered a curious Mackie worth 40 XP.
Wow.
I'm not sure how finding a strange monkey makes you more enlightened to, or makes more the people the people at home are more likely to want to come over to the New World. But
I guess, yeah.
Like you find a strange monkey, and all of a sudden 3 guys are like, "Yes, we volunteer. I want to come to the New World.
I want to see this monkey."
That's essentially what happens, right? You get more XP by finding the monkey, and then you send your 3 villager shipmen. Like 3 people volunteer. They're like, "Yep, we'll come to the New World. Like we want to see this monkey."
In this case, or in the case of Russia, magical logs of wood start falling from the sky at a very consistent rate.
Well, to this, it starts raining wood.
Yeah. Exactly 2.5 villagers worth at a time.
Yeah. Either way, Garja aging up nice and quickly here, does have his first bank already created. That nice, crisp, early 15 pop age up that we're so accustomed to seeing Dutch age up with, right around the 4 minutes and 10-second mark. And I think you were just about to say, where's the blockhouse, right? And there it comes in a very defensive position. And I think Garja's going to be happy seeing that.
Yeah, and I think he's also fine. Usually, it's not the best to put just set your Explorer around for the siege damage, but with it being so defensive, there's no other concerns except for maybe just doing a little bit of damage to that blockhouse. So, really strong opener for Garja, I think, at this point. And I also wanted to mention who does Dutch do business with that makes banks generate money when there's no one around except for the unlucky Russians.
yeah, the Russian scum out here on the. Well, technically, we're like in the Russian wilderness as well. That's where Kamchatka is, right? It's the little peninsula in eastern Russia that specifically we're fighting over. So Russia technically are at home here, and the Dutch have randomly set up some sort of banking infrastructure in eastern Russia, which feels very sketchy.
Yeah, I don't know how historically accurate this is. We need to get that one guy who's Chinese who always talks about how historically inaccurate China is. We get that guy to start critiquing this game. But on a more serious note, we do have 5 Cossacks coming out of the blockhouse, 5 muskets too. And this push is going to be a lot less threatening when it comes from back here, right? We're already seeing the effects of that as the Cossacks are getting caught out.
Yep, going to get caught out, snared by these 5 Hussar guards. Doing a pretty good job.
Great control.
Yeah, splitting up his units. Trying
Look
to
at that. That's flawless.
As possible. Yeah, everything looking really good for Garja. He has not lost a single Hussar yet. He has so far eliminated all of the Cossacks. And well, if you want to know what separates a PR25 player from a PR40 player.
That was it.
that was a very strong demonstration of what it is, because Garja keeping all 5 of his Hussar alive to see another day will be able to continue to ramp up pressure. Will kill this villager they stumble upon that's trying to herd, and that's just a huge resource swing that completely nullifies one complete shipment. Is going to probably lose 1 Hussar here, but picks up a villager, has shut down some of the hunting, and if nothing else, he's completely bought himself all the time in the world that he realistically needs to get aged up, right? I mean, if you take a look at what we said the Russian players should be trying to accomplish this game, is to be playing aggressively, get up in Dutch's face, try and keep him from aging, keep him in the second age. If nothing else, force him to build a barracks, force him to train skirmishers, force him to ship 8 pikes, do stuff like that, stuff that Dutch doesn't want to have to do.
Yeah, things that are not producing banks. And unfortunately for him, Garja just confident enough right now to drop 2 banks on 700 wood, and so he's up to the 4 bank criteria that you usually look to when you want to age up. And he's gonna make 3 more Hussar here, which is a totally fine decision. Hussars never do poorly against any of Russia's units, so really he can use those to kind of do a little bit of backdoor raiding, while these are drawing the attention of the muskets.
Yep, and that's precisely what he's going to do. Sieging just long enough to draw the military focus away from Lord Charlie's base, while these 3 Hussars sneak in. Pretty good villager control out of our boy Charlie. Noticing the raid, going to keep most of his villagers alive. Might lose 1 here. No, it looks like he's going to get back in. Garja realizing the fact, and well, it looks like Charlie has decided the time to pressure is now. Garja has shipped 600 wood, is looking to save resources to age at this point in the game, has dropped down his barracks, has dropped down his market, and is still has the availability of Minutemen. It looks like these 4 Hussar are going to step out here. Engage with the Cossacks, and at this point, Minutemen should be being called to be able to push back the remaining infantry.
This is a confident play by Garja, continuing to build that market. Very confident.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to get a little bit punished for it. Does have the 3 Hussar that we're raiding coming back in as well. And Lord Charlie picking up another villager. 13 Strelic coming in here as well. Going to be the next card. Going to continue to ramp up the pressure. But taking a look at Garja's resources, he's going to be able to get aged up. He's got the resources in his base that he's going to need to be able to continue to power his way up. Ooh, Lord Charlie is...
That was that villager you were commenting on its good control. Yeah. That was the exact same one that came up there.
Oh, really? He came all the way from back home, all the way up there.
Yeah, I think it was he had ungarrisoned from the blockhouse, but not realized the rally point had changed, so it ended up all the way there. We've got 5 skirmishers on the field now, and maybe with the 4-bank economic lead, look at it's 40 villagers to 21 at this point. Garja may just be fine to win this in H2.
Yeah, I mean, realistically,
he's ready to age too, though.
Yeah, he's ready to age. Either way, is probably going to result in a win. Russian infantry is not really all that scary. The skirmishers are going to reign supreme over everything that Russia's going to be able to throw out of him from the blockhouse. And I mean, sure, yeah, okay, you lose a house, maybe that kind of sucks a little bit, but 5 more skirms, 3 hussar shipment coming in, going to be perfectly fine here. Going to be able to deal with all of this infantry, and I think Lord Charlie is going to be quite disappointed when his opponent does age up, gets into the next stage, and then as a result, well, then all of a sudden, you know, it gets infinitely more difficult to deal with veteran skirm and Reuter as age 2 Russia, especially when you're in the kind of economic hole that Lord Charlie currently finds himself in.
Yeah, Lord Charlie's in a tough spot, really. It was that key Cossack engage that let him go for the 2 additional banks without having any worries in the world that has gotten him to where he is now. So, yeah. Garja, as you said, he's clicked up now. He's even taking out a TP while aging, and Charlie could be holding this too. It's another signal of the difference in maybe the players' levels here that this TP is going to go down.
And perhaps it's just because he just doesn't feel confident. Like moving out across the map doesn't necessarily know that he could fight this just fine and keep this TP alive. Is good to pick off 1 hussar, but
TP's too. I don't know. I think Garja will finish that one off.
He'll come back. As long as he comes back for the next pass, it should be fine. Going to continue just to poke away at the muskets. Garja has reached the fortress age now as well, and while that's going to spell all sorts of bad news, the veteran skirmishers automatically getting their upgrade, going to make them much more difficult to deal with. Similarly, if we take a look at what all is going on back in Garja's base, more houses being constructed, the infrastructure is fine, still the 4 banks. He's got the market up, he's got good market upgrades, he's got steel traps, gang saw, and placer mines all researched, so everything going well for him. Lord Charlie back in his base has constructed a stable as well. Off the back of that 700 wood, is going to need that in order to try and formulate some sort of a response against the units that are going to be coming out here, especially the skirmishers. But Garja now all of a sudden, with that 9 Reuter shipment, has a very scary, formidable looking army, and I think is going to start the slow and painful death of Lord Charlie. With this unit composition, it's just going to be really, really difficult at this point for Lord Charlie to keep up.
Yeah, I agree totally. And I think Garja is even maybe going to just hop on over there and pick that up, but I'm not sure. Maybe not. Looks like he's not deeming it to be worth that much focus, and he's just going to push in here and try to go for the kill shot here. Getting very close up there, picking off a villain in the gold crates. 5 Cossacks still flanking around this corner to keep in mind. But at the same time, this kiting is exactly what Russia wants to avoid. They want one big fight where their units are all getting engaged at the same time. Whereas now he's just kind of abusing that range on the skirmisher to just do damage, kind of pick off Starlets 1 by 1 here. Another 2 are going to go down. And yeah, 2 more muskets falling here. Just little picks here and there that are going to lead him to having no units left. And I like that all the Reuters are coming back here as well. These Kazakhs are really the only cab threat that he's seen so far.
Yeah, going to be able to shut down that raid with no issues whatsoever. Continues the poking out front, does Garja with his skirmishers. And these couple of veteran hussars as well to run any interference should there be any big head-on engagement or anything, some Cossack flank or something like that. Has 4 more hussars, it looks like here, coming in from the back. And the Reuters are going to rejoin the army as well. And this is the point where you mentioned, I mean, truthfully, Russia just needs to find some way to try and engage this and just to have one big successful fight before the army ever gets to this point. But even now, I mean, when our military populations are still somewhat close, Russia should look to try and get some sort of miracle flank to attempt to try and kill the skirmishers. And if you can catch them out of position, maybe catch the hussar being a little bit too over-eager trying to raid over here or something like that. Maybe he can get in a position where he can try and get a good trade, but Garja's just not going to allow that. And the longer these little skirmishes continue to go, I mean, the more the skirmishers are just going to reign supreme. I mean,
Yeah.
you see every volley, just 2, 3, 4 musketeers continue.
This is his only chance too. Garja stayed all the goats, so he's gonna have 10 Hussar on the reinforce. I'm almost positive that there'll be 10 Hussar in queue if there's not already. Here's 5 of them coming.
Yeah.
But this, it's got to go well from here, and tons of muskets dying here, tons of Cossacks dying, and just not enough cavalry combat from Garja even coming in now, just to make those cav even more of a threat.
Yeah, it's just going to seal the deal. Lord Charlie's entire army has been erased from the map. No blue forces left remaining after that fight. If we take a look at the military unit population graphic, 10 to 43, Lord Charlie realizes that he's been outclassed in this first game. Calls GG in game number 1. In fairly short fashion, goes over to Garja.
Yeah, that 5 Cossack kill is just a tough break.
Yep, it's tough to recover from at that point.
Yeah.
But game number 2 will be on Baja, California, which, well, maybe there's a little trick up the Lord Charlie sleeve for Baja, California. You never know. What's like what's the trickiest thing you can think of for Baja, California?
I think it would have to be well. There's one game that actually happened where Black Star played Ottoman against A's and did an FF Petard Spahi push in the corner with his base with the tower. That's the most cheesy thing I can think of. Second most cheesy thing, or like a realistic thing, would be just to do the same idea, only just like a colonial play in the corner. That's unexpected. Something that's really hidden.
Some sort of like hidden pike rush or something. Oops, I'm trying to a little early. Yeah, I think something like that is likely going to be Lord Charlie's best play. But here we go. Game hosted up. Charlie's in the game. Garja's in the game.
Yep, Garja picks first. What?
Victor Sweet says in chat, is this faster speed or am I just lagging? This is the standard speed that...
at least in this universe, right? Time's moving. Yeah.
Oh.
The same speed as always.
Look out, boys. Time to dust off the Garja guide. It's that time. Bust out your signed copies of your Garja guide and follow along, boys and girls, because we're about to see the master playing some Aztec.
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna need to take some notes. I don't know if you saw. I had a little bit of a shaky opener there against Zoya. Lost a couple coyotes to those Jaguars. Was trying to punch them a little bit too, but didn't really work. I don't know. I'm excited to see what the Garja guide says about Aztec mirrors.
What does the Garja guide say about Aztec mirrors?
It says make coyote. That's pretty much what it says, I believe.
I see.
I actually played a couple of Aztec mirrors with Garja the other day.
How did they go?
We played exactly a couple. I lost the first one, and then I won the second one. So
I see.
What I learned from that was when you play Aztec mirrors, you just never attack because he who attacks has less stuff and loses. So that was my lesson learned from the Aztec mirror. All
right, well, here it is. If you're following along at home, boys and girls, get out your Garja guides. It's that time to learn from the master. Garja will be playing the Aztec civilization. His opponent, LordCharlie131, will also be playing the Aztec civilization. It will be an Aztec mirror on Baja, California. Spawning in the right side of the map, playing the Aztec civilization. In the color red is Garja. And his opponent is spawning in the left side of the map in about the 9 o'clock position. Playing the blue Aztecs will be LordCharlie131. Charlie and his angels. To all you angels who may be watching, game number 1 not going your way. Here's to hoping that game number 2, your fearless leader, is able to bring back some dignity for the clan. So it looks like it is a 200 wood start, and that's going to spell fire pit and house openings from both players likely. And I'm curious to see what Lord Charlie has up his sleeve. I think, we kind of mentioned it in the first game. Oftentimes when there's a large skill gap, what the lower skill player will tend to do is just play aggressively, and hopefully they can catch their opponent being, too greedy or maybe a little rusty, something like that. I know if I were playing against a player better than myself, that's probably what I would do. Well, I would play Japan first, and then if my Japanese failed, I would try something cheesy with some sort of all-in rush, maybe 10-10ing with India or something like that. So we'll see if that's what Charlie has, or maybe he'll try and maybe he'll surprise us all and bust out a macro play as well. We'll have to see. Certainly, I think we can expect to see Garja play the more standard style, the more macro-oriented style, but we'll have to see. And dude, look at this. This is maybe this is a foreshadowing of what is to come.
Yeah, he's spanking him a little bit with that giant paddle, and then he's out of there.
That is a massive paddle. I'm glad you bring that up, because that's a massive paddle the Aztec guy carries around with him.
But when he's walking around with it, at least on my low poly models, it turns into a very thin stick. So I'm not sure what it looks like.
No, it is, and I've got high poly models turned on, so it's.
It also disappears when he's converting, and then kind of turns into a club only while attacking.
It's a magical stick that he does have, but
yeah.
Well, we'll have to see. Lord Charlie. Oh, look at that high level play. He got the plus 20.
Both, but got stolen. High level getting stolen.
Still got stolen, but
yeah.
But at least he got the extra XP out of both of the wolves as a result. So.
Yeah, interesting to see. If it's going to come down to they're exactly equal HP, so it's going to come down to who reacts to the wolves. Looks like Charlie just going to give that one up.
Yeah, he's just going to peace on out. I'm struggling right now to get the population graphic where I want it on my screen. There, I've got it firmly situated in the upper left-hand corner. 3 villagers coming out for both players as their first card. Pretty standard stuff. Nothing too strange here. Don't expect to see anything too different there. And really, what we'll really be looking for is the age ups. That's what's going to be the next really differential thing. Garja looks like has his food slowly creeping up towards 800. His macro has been pretty on point. If we take a look at the deer around his town center, they're all dead in very, very good positions. You really can't realistically get much better than that in terms of macro at the start of the game. Lord Charlie, similarly though, I mean his macro's pretty on point for him, so can't be too disappointed with that.
Nope.
And, well, it looks like Garja is clicking his way up. Let's take a look at what he's aging with. He is aging with the Messenger. Lord Charlie aging up at 16 population as well. Also aging with the Messenger. And it looks like both players are going to be playing with that very fast age up and likely sending their 700 wood as their first card. When you played Garja in this matchup, I assume you did something similar, but how did the mid games play out, I guess, is what I'm more curious about.
So what it comes down to is you can only get away with sending one more economic shipment than your opponent, right? So I would, like, if you sneak into 5 vill or something like that, you can maybe get away with it. But mid game, what it was just a bunch of coyote, and then you've got maybe your 10 mace and your 6 puma in there somewhere. And your goal is just to make sure they didn't get too greedy, but at the same time not commit to anything, right? And that's kind of what it's going to come down to.
Yeah, and I think Garja, well versed in the mirror, will probably operate under that similar principle. We don't see any villagers walking forward for our boy Lord Charlie just yet. Although no, that was a wolf. I thought maybe the wolf was a villager, but it's not. It's just the coyote continue to explore. So it looks like he's actually going to play a little bit of the macro game. He's got to mark it up. He's researching hunting dogs, and we'll see how that ends up shaking out for him.
And I'm not sure I feel about this. He's warheading on 700, which is always good. Always good to use your crates instead of having to chop wood. But in this matchup, you need a lot of wood anyway. And he aged at 1 vill slower than Garja too. So, Garja's warhead's going to be completed before the other one, before Charlie even starts building. So he's going to have to give up the map to do that. We'll see if he's able to ever get out again from that position.
Yeah, and certainly this is a map where there's not a ton of natural resources immediately in your base. If you look behind your base, there's not a lot of room behind your base, and there is very infrequently much more than one additional starting hunt back there, and as a result, you're really forced to get out on the map, especially when it comes to locations like this next coin mine, maybe even this hunt up here.
Yep.
Not exactly trivial to get. To control on the map, and if you have a position like Garja does with your forward base out here, these spots become much more easy to defend in the middle portion of the map.
This is a huge deal in the mirror as well.
Yes, the Explorers is likely going to go down here for Lord Charlie, which is going to be significantly better for Garja, as the game continues to progress. Interestingly enough, I think Lord Charlie's been reading himself the Garja guide.
Yeah.
I reckon he has, because so far, our Lord and Savior Garja, when it comes to Aztec, has shown us the way of 700 wood 3 warrior priests, and so far, Lord Charlie on par for the course, doing essentially the same build when it comes to economic units. But we'll see how that ends up working out for him if he's able to keep up in eco. Currently, they're eco-wise, they're about the same. They're both at about 43 pop, somewhere around there. And Lord Charlie actually in total population is slightly ahead right now, so everything looks to be about even. A little bit of a raid though coming in for Garja.
Yeah, I think that could be, like I said, he who attacks loses in this matchup, and it's not worth, like Garja knows, it's not worth getting a villager to ever get snared in this matchup. And Lord Charlie pushing him off. These 4 Coyote are going to be the magic Coyote. If they're able to pull off the snare here, then Garja might be in some trouble here. Oh, look at he use that other Coyote just to get a little pull to pull him out of there faster. And I think Garja's totally fine here, just keeping his opponent busy.
And Garja continuing with economic play, 5 Villager as his next card. Lord Charlie, on the other hand, has shipped 6 Puma Spearmen, so perhaps this is going to be his chance to put a little bit of forward pressure on here. Does have the more hard counter unit.
Oh God! Just get the attack. Oh, he gets the snare. He gets the snare. He's gonna keep it.
Got one.
He is not gonna get the snare to continue. Unfortunately, that could have been a game-losing play, though. In all honesty, that was very close.
Perhaps, yeah. Certainly, if those Puma Spearmen would have been able to engage the Coyote runners head-on, I think we all know how that ends up. It ends up with a lot of dead Coyotes for the red player. Fortunately for Garja, that did not end up happening. He was able to break the snare and get on out of there, which is going to be good for him. Similarly, Garja continuing with the economic play, 600 wood. Lord Charlie, on the other hand, 10 Mace Holton going to be sent as his next card. So I feel like the window is closing here for Charlie. I think he wants to push here pretty soon. He's invested into 2 additional military.
He's going for it,
and this is his time to shine. This is his window of opportunity, and it looks like he's going to try and take it as we do see 5 more Coyotes.
Oh my gosh, this catch. I just don't like this. I think remember I was talking about this vulnerable point at which you can get away with 1 extra shipment maybe, but not 2 more. And the fact if this warhead doesn't finish, Garja could be in a lot of trouble. He's got 5 Coyotes back here raiding. He might just be trying to get a little too fancy with the matchup, and you don't want to get so fancy against when you're favored to win. Ooh, is he gonna let that warhead get up? I'm so surprised.
Yeah, looks like Lord Charlie is going to let the warhead get up. But he is almost certainly going to take down this first one. A couple of Mace Holton trying to plug away on that villager, and it looks like here comes just the straight out engage. Stepping forward, Mace Holton's coming up.
Garja's going to be okay here.
And he's looking like he should be in an okay position. Lord Charlie does have some reinforcements coming in, but Garja looks like going to, at least for the moment, hold strong. Although Lord Charlie, I mean, he's fighting his way through this. He has better reinforcements. Here comes 5 more Coyotes coming out for Garja, popping right on top of the Mace Holton, doing a pretty good job of eliminating the ranged units. And I think when all is said and done, when the dust settles, everything clears up, I think Garja's going to be okay, and he's going to be significantly rewarded for his economic play here at this point. If you take a look at the card progression, after both players sent the 3 Warrior Priests, Lord Charlie has sent 6 Pumas, 10 Mace Holton, 9 Mace Holton, whereas Garja has sent 5 Villagers, 600 Wood, and 10 Mace Holton, which is almost certainly going to mean that, I mean, if we take a look at the economic unit population, it's very clearly in one player's favor, and that player is the red player, Garja. And as a result, military unit population's about even, but in terms of just raw economic output at this point, Garja far ahead, and we'll look to continue to push that advantage here in the next couple minutes.
And take a look at the bank too. Garja is sitting on. First of all, he's got military shipments, but he's sitting on 800 wood. So he could honestly, with an army advantage, just drop down like Stagecoach even if he wanted to right now. Like all the TPs for free with his bank.
Yep. 3 coyotes up raiding here to the north, just missing that villager that was out herding. Also has the remainder of his coyotes kind of roaming in the middle of the map. A little bit unlucky there for Garja, just missing twice 2 big packs of vills that were out there over onto the side. But it looks like Lord Charlie going to try and drop down a war hut here, try and secure as much of the map over here as possible. And Garja similarly out on the map now, hunting fairly freely. A little bit of raid coming in here, picking off 1 villager. It looks like he might even get a 2nd villager for his cost. And yep.
Yeah, that's a 3rd actually. He got.
Is that a 3rd one actually?
Yeah, one of them was low HP, so he managed to pick up 3 there.
Yeah. And Garja looking to be in a pretty good spot here. This is realistically, I mean, something that he can probably shut down if he just takes the remainder of his army and works his way over to this portion of the map. He's got the military advantage. Now he's scouted it. He knows where his opponent is, and I think he'll know where his next point of contest is. Similarly, we can see the remaining coyotes working their way up over to that side of the map to at least provide some support to their brothers up there on the north. And what have we got over here? Ah, yes, warrior priests dancing away.
They both are though, which is interesting.
Yeah, Lord, I'm telling you, I think Lord Charlie's read the Garja guide. I think he's aware.
I think so.
He's aware of the timings.
Yeah, I think he is. I mean, he's actually changed warrior priest around the exact same time. Only a few key differences being more economic. And honestly, this game could have been over had he at these war huts killed both of them, which is very possible. And we have a huge engagement coyote here coming, catching a number of vills out. And you can see Lord Charlie just does not have anywhere near enough coyote to win this engagement, even with over half of the coyotes just killing vills on the side.
Yeah, I mean, the coyote counts at the start of this map, at the start of this little engagement, were 31 to 19 or so, and
combat in now too.
Yeah, and that's going to be, I mean, even more brutal now that the coyote combat has arrived here for Garja. Looks like he's going to be able to clean this up, and unfortunately for Lord Charlie, I don't know that there's going to be much more that he can do. GG, well played, call. Garja is going to take map number 2 and the series 2 games to 0 and advance himself to the round of 32. Congrats to him for picking up the win, and better luck next time for Lord Charlie. For all the poor angels watching.
Yeah.
Close, but close only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades. So, close one for Charlie, but Garja picking up the win, executing his civilizations of choice, and advancing to the next round.